Yeah, and there are so many profound things here that you said, and I just want to pick a couple of points and go deeper with those. Okay, so the first one that you mentioned, I think, is this magic is the mind, right? Now, it's not just in our thoughts, but as the thoughts begin to affect our energy, and since everything is interconnected, meaning as within, so without, the beginning of any magic is being able to influence oneself. And then through a non-physical connection, through whatever an energy field or whatever that is, the force, we can affect something that's outside of us, right? And this is so profound because um, especially occultists these days, you know, like the first thing they see is practices that are, you know, ceremonial in the hermetic tradition of ceremonial magic, right? So it's very like these rituals are so fancy, you know, like robes, this and that and the other and all that shit, which has its place and its value. But unless you have the ability that you just mentioned, none of that's going to do anything. It's literally just a fucking circus. That's what it is, right? And the funny thing is, as soon as you realize what makes magic work, you don't need these things anymore. So it's more or less a tradition that has very little value. So that's one thing, and people always ask about this evocation. You know, how do I get this evocation to work? You know, how do I get this spell to work? How do I make psychic seduction work? What is the technique, or what ingredients do I need for the spell? At the end of the day, all of the elements exist within you. All of the gods, as they say in Hinduism, all of the gods reside within your own body. So if you can explore yourself, this equates the exploration of the entire universe, the subtle as well as the solid universes. And the permeation of this universe allows you to recreate the universe. And that is really what we're doing. So by exploring yourself, you're exploring the universe. It's not that you're just sitting there with your eyes closed. This is what people say that don't meditate and never ever done it, right? Like, what are you doing there, man? You're just sitting there with your eyes closed. It's a waste of time, bro. You have no idea what I'm doing in my mind, right? So this is the first thing. So if you want to learn magic, you better learn how to control your own energies. And the only way to do that is to sit down, close your eyes, and explore this mechanism, this body-mind mechanism that we have, right? That's the first thing, very profound. Number two, I think a very, very important point that you mentioned was the magic being made possible through self-mastery allows us to see ourselves as part of something greater. And what is your experience with the following? Because I hear that a lot from other people. I've experienced it myself, where it's basically the urge to do a spell oftentimes comes from a lack of self-control. So as soon as the self-control kicks in, the need to do the spell is often not there anymore. It's not that you don't do spells anymore, but it becomes way more important to fix the self than it is to fix the outside world. Well, is that your experience, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, that has been in my experience. I guess the way I look at it is, you still did the spell. You just didn't have to go through the ritual of doing it. It just happened. It happened internally. I mean, it always happens internally, but I think like a lot of times it's, a lot of times when I really want to do a spell, it's because there was maybe a fear, a lack of preparation in the past caught up with me, and now I'm scrambling to try to fix it. Right? A lot of people do that, and so you're like, oh, they didn't realize that maybe they. I don't know what's a good example. Whatever. Let's just say like money management or something, right? They don't know how to manage their money. They got poor habits, and then eventually they're in the hole, and then they're sitting there. Oh, I got to do a money spell. I got to do a money spell right now, and that'll fix everything. And it just doesn't work like that. I know because I've tried. It doesn't work like that. it's almost like when you let go of giving a fuck about the spell or if it's going to happen, like it automatically, like the internal process happens and then the universe reacts to that, you know, or it gives you so like a lot of times if I felt a threat, when it, it would be an external threat, but it always was a manifestation of something that I had deep inside of me that I was afraid of, that I didn't want to look at in myself. And when I was able to accept that within myself, the external threat, somehow it always, the circumstances change and it just doesn't have to, I don't have to deal with it, right? Because I dealt with it here. If I tried to stop, if I tried to suppress it here, I would have had to dealt with it physically and it would have been not as good result. And that's usually what I see. I mean, that's kind of what I notice with most people, is they're never dealing with their own shit. So they're always running into physical conflicts all the time, you know? And because if you make them shut their eyes, they'll go insane and they'll cry and they'll scream because they're terrified of themselves, right? They're terrified of just parts of them that they don't think should be there, you know? And it's the same with me and anybody, I believe, you know. There's been times where, I mean, even recently, there's stuff that I thought I conquered all my darknesses so far, right? No, man, there's always something, you know. That, and I've noticed this too, and I tell this to my students, you know, when you start doing these meditation exercises, and don't think, you know, a lot of people think meditation is this gentle thing where you sit, you know what I mean, and everything's all, you know, flowers around you. Okay, I mean, I don't like how this new age has promoted this stuff. And don't get me wrong, you can be very peaceful. You can go into anything in meditation, but specifically for what we're doing, you want energy, you want to have power. You know, people always talk about Kundalini. They don't even know what it is. I said, I'll show you how to activate your Kundalini. It's very specific processes that would do that. And are you ready for that? Are you ready for all your light bulbs to light up? Can you handle that kind of energy? Because what's going to happen is that energy doesn't decipher good or bad. It's just raw energy. And if you have all kinds of programs in you that are suppressed and they're negative, they're all going to be amplified. That's why a lot of people who get into like powerful practices where they're dealing with big energies, they lose their fucking minds because they never did the inner work before they started playing with the big stuff. And that's why I want to teach people the fundamentals first, to go in, see what's going on within you, and then build that energy. And then when you have the energy and you don't have a bunch of fucked up thoughts throwing it everywhere, then you can direct it and do, you know, awesome things, you know. I don't know if I got off topic or not, but that's just, it's kind of what came out.
What also I think needs to be understood is that there's a higher intellect that we can all access, you know. So I'm completely convinced, and there's a reason why I'm convinced of it, because I experience it every single day, multiple times, that there is a higher intelligence that moves through all of us. It's almost like a greater intellect, call it the mind of God or whatever. You know, I used to call my meditation program the unbounded mind. You call yourself the cosmic mind. I guess, like, I don't know. They're both, I guess, accurate descriptions of what we're trying to describe there, right? So we all have access to a greater intellect that heals, that teaches, and that increases our own abilities all at the same time. That happens automatically as we connect to this ocean of consciousness that we're all part of. It happens automatically. So the biggest obstacle is really the thought or the idea that we have to figure everything out linearly and through our own conscious efforts, which is oftentimes not possible. It's almost like you're cutting yourself off from your ability to access higher knowledge. It's like nowadays, if you use, everybody has a phone these days, and let's say you're around and you shut off your ability to connect to the internet with your phone. That's literally how most people use their mind. It's literally just the phone with all of those apps. But how much can you do with those apps if you're not connected to the internet, really, right? Like it's useless then. Mm-hmm. It's functioning at maybe 1% of its capabilities. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to say that when you start meditating, you turn into the superhuman and you become limitless. No, that's not what I'm saying. However, it's undeniable. And once you have an authentic connection to source, every single day, whenever you do your meditation, it's almost as if this smaller mind that we identify with, it's like rational, it's constantly like searching and trying to find patterns, it stops. And then at the same time, a greater mind begins to fill us. And it's actually always there. It's just like in the background. And we become aware of this ocean that we're all part of. It's almost like this energy is flowing through everything, and it's just temporarily blocked through our thought process, through our attachments. And the solutions in our life are an outgrowth, or they're a result of us being able to let the energy flow through us again. So when I experience a problem in my life that I can't solve, if that makes sense, what I do is I understand that it must be an energy block within myself, right? We're not supposed to experience problems because life is nothing but a flow of energy. It's one big system of energy. So when we encounter a problem in the outside world, it must begin within ourselves, because it is as within, so without. So where within myself, within my own energy body, and oftentimes just asking that question shows you where in your body you carry that block. Letting go of that will solve the problem. Of course, there will be mundane actions that you will have to take, but that's just a physical expression of what has already happened energetically. So the meditation allows you to connect to a greater mind, which we're all part of. It's one field of energy, or one ocean of energy. And the smaller mind that is attached, that tries to think linearly and all of that stuff, has very little information. It goes into the background, and instead this big infinite mind begins to roll through you, which is the thing that we're all going to return to. And the solutions just come. The answers just come. It's almost as if you're finally able to connect the dots, you know, and you perceive from a bigger picture. And even from a productivity standpoint, if you just want to take it there, if you want to keep it very, very mundane, you know, you just want to become more productive, you want to become a better whatever, better leader, better business person, better whatever your choice, you know, is, you will benefit from it 100%. You'll become a better blank, whatever, right?